All right, everyone, this is Venus Brown, and today I'm going to be trying to show you how to take care of this little thing called filing for a fictitious name if you live in Florida and you want to run a business under a name that is not your own, and you are not part of an LLC or a corporation or a private organization or anything like that. I live in Brevard County and I want to file a fictitious name for my business. Now, in some places, this would be called a doing business as, but in Florida, they call it a fictitious name simply because it is not your legal name. So I looked up Brevard County fictitious business name, and you go here to where it says Sunbiz. Okay. I believe you can also put sunbiz.org, but I'm not 100% sure on this. Okay, you want to read whatever instructions that they have. So you'll come to this page that says Florida Fictitious Name Registration. I'm thinking I may put the instructions at the end of the video or something just for those people that really don't want to listen to the whole step-by-step instructions. And one important thing you need to remember before you do any of this, you have to have your business advertised within a paper. It's a specific format. You need to look it up. I'm not going to go over that with you, but you advertise that you are running a business under a fictitious name. You give them the information that they want. You go through whatever news source in your county and in your area that you can find that does this kind of thing. You need to make sure that they're legitimate because apparently they are not all legitimate. And it usually takes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on the media source you use. So make sure you get that squared away ahead of time before you ever try to work on this. You don't have to have absolute proof of it, but you need to make sure that it's actually ran because you can get in trouble for not doing that. So I already did my fictitious name advertisement, ran through a paper. It took a good 3 weeks, but this was because it was Christmas time. I'm filing for a home business that's on my computer. It may be a little different than if you're doing a brick and mortar business. So make sure you look this stuff up. Find out what you need to do ahead of time. If you live in some other state, then I can't really help you. I don't know exactly what steps you're going to need to run your own home business. You want to read these instructions. Make sure you understand them. Make sure you follow them. You can read yourself, and you'll probably want to read when you get to this part anyway. Let's take a look at the instructions. There we go. Florida fictitious name instructions, and it is good for 5 years. Understand that once you fill out this form, it's done. It's concrete, and that's it. You don't change it. I think there's like 1 or 2 things they allow you to change, like if you move, you start running your business in some other area. But other than that, as far as I know, this is it. You fill this out, you make sure it is complete and it is correct, and you're done with it. So this gives you information on if you are one of those companies with a different structure, then you can click on these and get more information on how to take care of the process. And down here is the cost. Okay, so what we're looking for is this one right here. Registration of fictitious name, $50. This is how much it's going to cost to register your fictitious name. We're back. We're done with the instructions. All right. So we're going to click this little box here, register a Florida fictitious name. So this basically goes back through those set of regulations, but they want to make it very clear. This form registers a fictitious name, online only. If you want to do it on paper, then you have a slightly different process, which they do have available on this website. So you can look on this website to find out how to do this on paper if you don't want to do it online. Acknowledgement. I have read and accept the terms of this disclaimer and acknowledge receipt of the filing information. So you're going to click this little box. You're going to press Begin Fictitious Name Registration. So now this is the actual document that you need to fill out for your registration for fictitious name. I am going to show you what you need to do. I will white out whatever it is that I don't want you seeing. My business is diverse spectrums. I'm not using an employer ID number. Okay, I am not showing my email address because that is my business. Remember to make sure everything is spelled right. There are no typos, no incorrect punctuation. This is a one and done and no more until 5 years from now when you have to renew. Okay, your acknowledgement letter, certification requests, and all future notices will be sent to this email address. So remember this and make sure it's an email address that you're going to keep on using the whole time. I am not going to get a certificate of status or certified copy. I do not see the point. If I had some other organization where that was a requirement of me, of course I would do that, but I don't at this point. Business mailing address. Here in the business address, you are going to put the address of your actual business. Okay. You know, I live in Brevard County, and that is it. Now we're going to go on to the owner names and addresses. For me, it is just my name and address. I don't have any other owners. If you have multiple, then you're going to need to make sure you have the information for all of your owners. So you'll put your last name and your first name and then your middle initial. You don't have to write your full middle name, but your middle initial. If any of the owners are part of a fictitious business name or corporation or LLC, then you're going to put that information. But if not, if they're just regular individual people, then you're just going to put their actual name. All right. And then, of course, if you do have an employer information number from the IRS, then you're going to put it in there. And if they do, then you're going to put theirs in there, but you will need to make sure that you get that information from them before filling out the form. I'm going to put not applicable on this because I am not a LLC or corporation or anything. Down here, we're going to put our actual street address. So for me, it's the same address as my business. For you, it might be different, but my home address is what's going in here. So the zip code, you're going to put your zip code, and then you're going to put the country that you're in. The country, you're just going to put US if you're in the US. So now, if you have any other owners, up to 5, you're going to put them all in these next boxes. Make sure you have their information for 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you have more than 5, there is supposed to be instructions that you can follow in order to take care of that. Because I'm the only business owner on this registration, I'm going to go ahead and click not applicable on all these other forms. So now we're at the very bottom of the form. Please review the filing for accuracy. If you need to make corrections, do so at this time. The filing information will be added, edited exactly as you have entered it. Once you have submitted the information, your filing cannot be updated, removed, canceled, or refunded. So I am going to write my name in here. Your printed name online counts as your legal signature. It carries the same weight as it does if you wrote your actual physical signature. Okay, so before I click to accept this, I am going to go back through And I'm going to double check everything. So it looks like the form is done. It's all accurate. And like I said, it's actually a really simple form, but because they keep making those threats to please make sure everything is right, you don't get to change this. I've been like very adamant that you do everything exactly right. So in order to complete this transaction, you must select one of the payments options. You must select. Okay, so let's click the payment option. We're doing credit card payment. And I'll just keep this stuff off screen. You're going to give your first name, your last name, your address, your city, your state, your zip code, your phone number, your email address. And then you'll press the next button, which I can do that. Okay, so first you're going to put your credit card number in. That's if you do it by credit card. You're going to put the month, put the year of expiration, and then you're going to put that little teeny 3-digit code that they have on the back of the card. That is if you're using a credit card. And then at the bottom, you're going to put the name on the credit card. I sometimes use my middle name or middle initial, and sometimes I do not. It's going to take you to this verification screen. It says credit card, debit card on the top. It has check mark, customer information. It has your address, your country, your phone number, your email address. If you put all that stuff in, I don't know if they let you not put it all in, but I put it all in. That way they can get in contact with me whichever way they prefer. And I actually don't mind emails. They can get overwhelming, but I have this all going to one email address that has a lot less stuff going to it. So it's a lot less likely to get buried among everything else. All right. And then it has the last four of your credit card number, your expiration, and the name on the credit card. And then you're going to press submit payment once you verify that that information is all correct. On this last page, they give you a transaction summary. It says that you've paid the $50, gives you your customer information, your name, a reference ID, a receipt date, and then it has your address, your phone number, and your email address, much like the screen before. Press continue. Then it takes you to this little page that says fictitious name registration payment. It shows the name of your business. It shows your confirmation and tracking number and your charge amount of $50. And then if you want to file another one, let's say you have a second business name you plan on using, then you can file another one, or you can file a different document. But I am not doing that right now. So I think that's it. That is how you register a fictitious business name in Florida. I hope that that can be of help to someone. Thank you. So make sure you follow the instructions. I'll read them for you. You can read yourself, and you'll probably want to read when you get to this part anyway. The name you register must be advertised at least once in a newspaper that is located within the county where your principal business is located. So in my situation, Brevard County, Florida. However, proof of advertisement is not required. You, the applicant, certify that the name has been advertised when you sign the application. Okay, and this is true, but I want to make it clear to all of you that even though you're not required to show any proof, it doesn't mean you have to have proof. Doesn't mean you need to get like a copy of registration. That stuff all costs extra money and it's not actually required. But if you do this without actually having ran an advertisement, these are laws that are in place and you can get in trouble if they find proof that you have not done your due diligence and you have not ran that advertisement. So even though you don't have to show proof, I would suggest that you still go ahead and run the advertisement anyway. Keep your receipts and your documentation that you did run the advertisement and the information on when it was ran and where it was ran, but it's not required to be put in this form. Okay, review the instructions for filing a fictitious name registration. This is important. Now, if you don't have several people that you are putting on this as a business owner, then you're not likely to really have a lot of information that you need to gather. Most of the stuff is going to be stuff that you probably will know right off the top of your head. It is a very small, simple form, so it shouldn't be that difficult. But if you have several people that are going to be owners that you are putting on there, then you may need to get a little bit of extra information because you're going to need their identification and their information. All right. Have a valid form of payment. So I don't know what form of payment it is that they require. I have not gotten that far yet, so we shall see. Okay, now there's some notes here. Registration of a fictitious name is not required to form a corporation, a limited liability company, or a limited partnership. So that's what I was saying. If you're going to be part of a corporation or organization or limited liability or limited partnership, those structures are going to go through a different process. So this is not necessarily going to apply to you. A fictitious name registration does not satisfy workers' compensation exemption. Please understand that this Florida fictitious name registration is for nothing but registration that you're filing under a fictitious name. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. So any other business requirements that your business has, this does not do it. Does not take care of workers' compensation exemptions or any other requirements. So please understand that. A fictitious name registration is not required for an individual's legal name or for the name of a corporation, a limited liability company, or a limited partnership. Let's take a look at the instructions. The instructions are for filing a fictitious name registration pursuant the Fictitious Name Act. The sole purpose of registering a fictitious name is to inform the public which individual or business entity is transacting business under a particular name. This registration does not reserve the name or prevent any party from registering the same name. So also understand that when you file this, it doesn't mean that anybody else is going to see that you're using this name. Okay, fictitious name. Okay, you need to enter the exact name that you need to register and understand that once you fill out this form, it's done. It's concrete and that's it. You don't change it. I think there's like one or two things they allow you to change. Like if you move, you start running your business in some other area. But other than that, as far as I know, this is it. You fill this out, you make sure it is complete and it is correct, and you're done with it. And it is good for 5 years. Do not enter more than one fictitious name on the application. So you're doing one name at a time, nothing more than that. A fictitious name may not contain a business entity suffix or indicator, i.e., corporation, incorporated, limited liability partnership, limited partnership, professional association, Corp, LLC, LP, PA, etc. So keep those things out of your name. Unless at least one registrant is a business entity of the same type, duly incorporated, organized, formed, or otherwise authorized to transact business in this state. So if somebody that you are running your business through um, is going to be a business owner with you, and they are a member of one of these organizations, then you might use one of these prefixes or something, but otherwise it should not be included. Section 655.922 Florida statutes prohibit anyone other than the financial institutions to use words bank, bank, banco, banque, bancaire, trust company, savings and loan association, savings bank, or credit union, or words of similar import. So do not do this. Mailing address. Enter the business mailing address. This address doesn't need to be the same as the principal place of business address. It doesn't need to be in Florida. It can be directed to anyone's attention. Update the mailing address free of charge if it changes in the future. So you can update your mailing address. Use the drop-down menu to select the Florida county where business's principal place of business is located. Okay, so for me, it's easy. All of this stuff is the same. I'm running it in my house. I have the same address that my business has. I am in the same county that my business is going to be ran through. If yours is different, make sure you pay attention to that because it needs to be correct. Select multiple if more than one county applies. Now, I don't know if there are any different regulations if you're doing more than one county. I think you have to file a business tax receipt in both counties if you're going to do that. But for this, I think it's just the one registration and the one fee. But I could be wrong. Florida Employer Identification Number. I am not using one of these. This is optional. You enter your 9-digit number that the IRS assigned to the business for federal income tax identification purposes. In my situation, I am not filing federal employer identification number. And it says to not use your social security number. So keep that in mind. When you file your taxes, if you don't have a Florida employer identification number, then you're going to want to use your social security number. But for this particular registration, do not use your social security number, even if you are not filing an employer identification number. Okay. And you can contact the IRS at this phone number for additional information. And the IRS can give you information for free, as far as I recall. Last time I needed a little help with some questions that I had about my VA benefits, I was able to call them. I was able to talk to them and get the answers that I needed without having to pay any fee. And this is something that's important to me. I don't like to pay extra money for every little thing. I do not like being nickeled and dimed. And personally, I like to keep everything as inexpensive as I reasonably can. All right. Certificate of status. You may request a certificate of status. This item is not required. A certificate of status certifies that the status and existence of the fictitious name registration and verifies the entity has paid all fees due this office through a certain date. Okay? So you can get the certificate of status if you want it, but you do not have to. It is not required. Certified copy. You may request a certified copy of your fictitious name registration. This item is also not required. A certified copy will include a filed stamped copy of your fictitious name registration and will verify that the copy is a true and correct copy of the document in our records. The fee for that is $30. So again, this is not required. But let's say that you have somebody that wants to see this, or that it is a requirement for your business, or it is a requirement for some other reason, then this is a way that you can get it. You can actually pay for it right here. Email. Please provide a valid email address. If filing online, the filing acknowledgement and certification, if any, will be emailed to this address. All future email communications will be sent to this address as well. Keep your email address up to date. Okay, so I think this is kind of common sense, but make sure your email address actually works. Make sure it's valid. If it doesn't work, if you don't actually use it, if you forget to check on it, then maybe you should try something different. Try to make sure you are using a valid email address that you remember, you keep track of, and you maintain. Owner information. List each owner and verify their information. An owner can be an individual or a business entity. You can only list up to 5 owners. Call 800-245-6058 for special instructions if you have more than 5 owners. List each name as last name, first name, middle initial. Enter the mailing address for each individual listed. If an owner is a business entity, a corporation, limited partnership, limited liability company, business entities must be registered and active with the Division of Corporations or provide documentation stating why they are not required to register. Example, federally chartered corporations or legislatively created entities. Enter the mailing address for each entity listed. Enter the document number assigned by the Division of Corporations for each entry listed. Enter the FEIN for each business entity or select applied for or not applicable. Signature. One owner must sign the document. If the owner is a business entity, an authorized individual can sign on behalf of the business. If filing online, type the individual's name and title in the provided text box. Example, John Doe, President. Electronic signatures have the same legal effect and weight as original signatures pursuant to S1516 FS. And down here is the cost. Okay, so what we're looking for is this one right here. Registration of fictitious name, $50. This is how much it's going to cost to register your fictitious name. We're back. We're done with the instructions. All right. So we're going to click this little box here, register a Florida fictitious name. Right. And then this goes back. So this basically goes back through those set of regulations, but they want to make it very clear. This form registers a fictitious name online only. If you want to do it on paper, then you have a slightly different process, which they do have available on this website. So you can look on this website to find out how to do this on paper if you don't want to do it online. Registration of a fictitious name is not required to form a corporation, a limited liability company, or a limited partnership. A fictitious name registration does not satisfy workers' compensation exemption requirements. A fictitious name registration is not required for an individual's legal name or for the name of a corporation, limited liability company, or limited partnership. Review and verify your information for accuracy. Once submitted, the registration of a fictitious name cannot be changed, removed, canceled, or refunded. Review the instructions for filing a fictitious name registration. The name you registered must be advertised at least once in a newspaper that is located within the county where your principal place of business is located. Chapter 50 Florida Statutes. However, proof of advertisement is not required. You, the applicant, certify the name has been advertised when you sign the application. You're on your honor kind of thing. But like I said, make sure you keep your documents. Make sure you keep your receipt. Make sure you keep the information of where this was registered, when it was registered, all of that. Acknowledgement. I have read and accept the terms of this disclaimer and acknowledge receipt of the filing information. So you're going to click this little box. You're going to press Begin Fictitious Name Registration. So now we're at the very bottom of the form. Please review the filing for accuracy. If you need to make corrections, do so at this time. The filing information will be added, edited exactly as you have entered it. Once you have submitted the information, your filing cannot be updated, removed, canceled, or refunded. And I apologize for repeating this stuff over and over and over again. I just want to make sure that everything is very, very clear so that you very well understand this stuff. I, the undersigned, being an owner in the above fictitious name, certify that the information indicated in this form is true and accurate. I further certify that the fictitious name to be registered has been advertised at least once in a newspaper as defined in Chapter 50 FS in the county where the principal place of business is located. I understand that the electronic signature below shall have the same legal effect as if made under oath, and I am aware that false information submitted in a document of the Department of State constitutes a third-degree felony as provided for in S. 817.155 FS. Owner's signature. If you press the continue button, the information on the screen will be processed and a new filing request will be initiated. If you used the browser's back button to get here, you should use the browser forward button to move to the next page. I hope that that can be of help to someone. Thank you.